So, giving honor to God as well, myself and Minister Tammy and Minister Lisa Banks are all from the same house. Amen. So we have already acknowledged our pastors, so I thank my fellow workers in the ministry for taking care of that part of it for me. I also give honor to the bishop of this house, man of God, and the ministers here. My wife is here with me, and so I thank God for that. Amen. So, last but not least, scripture in Galatians, the 5th chapter, verse 22 says, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law." Last but not least, temperance is my word. I say last but not least, but when you really look at it, one fruit is no more important than the other. Amen. They're all characteristics of the divine nature. Amen. In fact, in 2 Peter, the 1st chapter, it is due to his divine power that we are allowed to participate in his divine nature. We wouldn't have his divine nature if it weren't for his divine power. God has given us great and precious promises according to chapter 1 in 2 Peter. He's given us great and precious promises that allow us to partake in his divine nature, causing us to be exempt from the corruption, the lust, and the evil desires of the world. Yeah, I submit to you that no one fruit is more important than the other. When one fruit is not enough, we have been instructed, or we have been told to add something to it. All right. Peace won't go as long as we need it to go without long suffering. Amen. Gentleness won't last only for so long without faith. Amen. Because let me tell you, in order for me, a brother like me, to stay gentle and not to let some of the old man get involved, I've got to have faith that God knows what he's doing. Meekness can only last so long without love. Yeah, I know that no one fruit is more important than the other, but temperance holds it all together. It's not a mistake that the writer kept temperance for the last fruit, if you will, because temperance holds it all together. If you look in the Greek and find the Greek definition of that word temperance, it's pronounced engratia, and it is a combination of two Greek words, one meaning in, which is in the sphere of, and the other meaning dominion. So that word temperance properly means dominion within. Dominion within. A lot of the versions of the Bible, they don't use that word temperance, they use self-control. And so really, self-control or temperance is proceeding out from within someone, but not by oneself. In other words, it comes from you, but it's not of you. It dwells in you, but you are not the producer of it. It comes from somewhere else. Temperance can only be accomplished by his divine power. Temperance is a virtue of one who masters his desires and passions, especially his sensual appetites. And man can only master by the power of the master. I'm talking about dominion within. It's got to come from the inside. You can put a man in prison and never change the hatred in his heart. You can require a man to make every AA meeting scheduled and never quench the thirst for alcohol in his life. You can castrate a brother and never rid him of the lust in his heart. See, all these things are external measures. They are things that we try to do on the outside to try to make us do right on the outside as well. But I'm here to tell you that the only method to master things must come from the inside. It's got to come from that dominion within. Temperance holds it all together. See, you can love a brother, and in spite of how much you say you love him, there may come a time when you get upset and feel the urge to slap that brother. Temperance keeps you from it. You may be having trouble in your marriage, and the temptation of a strange foreign woman urges you that you should have more. Temperance keeps you from it. You may be having trouble on your job, and you know you can do your supervisor's job better than he can. And you think you should tell all your co-workers this profound truth and entice them to join up with you and take that man's job. Temperance keeps you from it. You can have two young ladies, younger than you, come in your office and tell them what they're going to do to you. And you know that and your first thought is, they don't know who I am. They must not know who I'm fooling with. And your urge is to get up and do some things, but temperance keeps you from it. Talking about dominion within, temperance keeps you from it. In fact, without temperance, the fruit of the Spirit can be changed into the work of the flesh. Love can become hatred without temperance. Joy can turn into carousing without temperance. Peace can turn into disputes without temperance. Patience can turn into strife without temperance. Kindness can turn into outbursts of anger without temperance. Goodness can turn to dissensions without temperance. Faithfulness can turn into factions without temperance. Gentleness can turn to envying without temperance. Temperance is dominion from within. I understand that one fruit is no more important than the other, but temperance holds it all together.